Hey Ringside crew. Welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther III, and man, Ringside crew, you are in for a treat. I have a gentleman that is blazing a trail for himself out of Canada. And, I'm an American wrestling fan, learning about the scene as I go along for 4 years of this awesome podcast. Introduce yourselves to my internationally known audience.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am the festive firework Alex Mays, coming from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, former IWS Tag Team Champion, currently not champion, but still working for it, working hard. You may have seen me on IWS on Thriller. You might have seen me at Effie's Big Gay Brunch. Here and there, you can always see me wherever you're looking for.
Awesome. So, who trained you?
I was trained at the IWS dojo. I was under the tutelage of Shane Hawk and Speedball Mike Bailey.
Oh, wow. Speedball, man. That name, I've heard that name through so many people. And what was it like to be like trained by such a legend in the indie scene, like that name, Speedball?
I gotta say, we were lucky because we started training under Speedball when COVID hit, and then the borders were closed, so he was stuck in Canada because there weren't any wrestling in anywhere. So we personally I took it let's go for it. He's there, he's here. Let's use him as much as possible because on learning under him was such an experience. He's got such a different point of view of wrestling and makes you understand differently than different wrestling schools. And also having Shane Hogg on the other side, which are a good balance in between them. So honestly, when we're told Speedball will be teaching because of the situation, let's go for it. It was me, my tag team partner Christera. We're like, okay, he's there. We're always gonna be there. We're not gonna miss a beat.
Awesome. So, when it comes to the professional wrestling business, who who's like the inspiration that got you really into this and made you want to become a wrestler?
I Well, my first inspiration is Trish Stratus, our fellow Canadian. The gorgeous Trish Stratus was one of my inspiration. There's also whenever I ask this question, I remember the first time I got asked, my sister came back to me was like, "Don't forget to say the Hurricane." I love the Hurricane growing up. He was different than the others. He wasn't big and massive like Kane. He was smaller on the smaller side, always entertaining, always high flying stuff. Also, Rey Mysterio, a big he showed me you don't have to be big. You can be small and be high flying and be really still be entertaining.
Awesome. So when you first step foot into this big wrestling your training facility, what were your first thoughts on the first time you sat down and sat in chairs or you stood up against the wall when you were lining up for the first time? Did you feel this was for you, or were you no, you knew this was all you?
It took me a long time before I started training. I was always in the back of my mind, I want to wrestle. I want to wrestle because it's the perfect balance of drama and athleticism, which which was always part of me. I was always super athletic and I was a theater kid. together, and like it was always in the back of my mind, like I want to do wrestling. Like I need to figure out how to wrestle someday. And it was at a dark moment in my life where like all my friends were getting married and having children. I was like, I am all by myself at home, like nothing to do. So I decided to join a wrestling school. And I remember the first day I trained at wrestling school. It was like it's not easy. It's not easy to train. It's not easy to go through. But like I knew it was made for me. I knew like I found my place.
Awesome. So is there any other wrestlers in Canada that you've not worked with that you've been dying to work with?
A lot of them.
Like, is there like any particular like list or like yeah, have it written down in a journal or like on your phone on like notes like I want to wrestle him, I want to wrestle them.
Well, personally, I used to do that my first year of wrestling, but you set yourself for disappointment, which
Mm.
is unfortunate. Like it's like, oh, next year I would like to wrestle these guys, and then the following year is like you're not wrestling after them. So for me, it's like I want to wrestle as many people as possible, as different people as possible, as much as possible. So bring me challenges. I want new challenges. I want new experiences, and whomever is the new person, I want to wrestle them. I want to wrestle everyone.
Is there ever any like limitations for you like when it comes to like doing shows? Like do you ever have to like try to look up and like internet stalk your opponent before you wrestle them if you don't know them yet, if you don't know their style that well?
Well, it's always good to study your opponents, just so you can come up with ideas and like try and figure out how to get out of their moves and trying to outsmart them. It's always important.
Mm.
And when you're wrestling someone new or someone old, it's always good to be like have something in the back of your head, like to be ready for them.
Mm. So is like have you ever wrestled anywhere else within like out of Canada, like in America or like anywhere like that besides
Yes,
Canada, like
actually,
any other
I
country?
re- I wrestled in the states I wrestled in the states twice this year, 3 times last year. We got to be careful.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Is like you got to be careful not to travel too much and be careful with the border. But I wrestled this year. I wrestled at I open wrestling in May, and I wrestled at Big Gay Brunch at while during WrestleMania week.
Mm.
Last year I wrestled at the Big Gay Brunch again, and I wrestled at Intergender Bonanza in Philly.
That's awesome. I got a chance to meet the one and only Effie at in Pennsylvania at Smash Masters Wrestling, and I heard he was going to be there. My friend's like, "Oh, you want to come?" Because I got I went to a wrestling event in New York, and then it didn't happen. So I was like felt so bummed. My friend's like, I accidentally sorry beans. My buddy Justin, he bought tickets and he kind of accidentally bought them on the internet, and I was just like, I'll give you the money. I want to go. And I saw who was going to be there. So I walked up to Effie and I was like, "Hi, I'm Joe Panther the Third." He's like, "Hi, Joe Panther the Third. I'm Effie. What a name!" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And I'm like, "Effie, can we take a picture?" And I just in my mind, I was like, "Wow, this guy's an icon, like a gay icon of the wrestling." So did you get a chance to ever get up to like talk to Effie and like ask him for any advice on like the wrestling career and everything?
Yes, actually, like well, the first time I met him, he came to Montreal for a show, and he was like part of the same. I was part of the same show, so like I took a couple of minutes of his time to discuss with him like his point of view and how to stand out from from the competition, especially being part of the community. Like right now, the community is exploding, but like they are still the fight is still important, and we're still needing still needs to be fought. So like being stand out and being a good representative for who we are and how we stand and like but I took a couple minutes of the time to discuss with him and see how he sees it.
Awesome. So I live in Pennsylvania, as I said, we have Smash Masters and we have PPW. That those are two of them. If you ever come to Pennsylvania, you should definitely stick on your list of wrestling shows. PPW is always live on Fight TV, and they have really a good show, really good blend of different male and female wrestlers. But when you go to your shows within Canada, do you travel the day of a show to like the event, or do you go like the day before and go to like a hotel and stay and then wrestle the next day?
For the moment, I'm traveling the day of. I, I did not have yet to travel the day before, but most of the time I travel the day of, and I'm driving. I'm driving. I love to drive, and I'm kind of a control freak, so I prefer driving the whole way through and driving the whole way back. But yes, I'm driving the whole way getting there because like most of the Canadian, well, from in my area, most of wrestling is like in the big cities. So like there's some in Ottawa, there's some in Montreal, there's some in Quebec City, which are like couple hours away. Like Toronto is 8 hours away. Yes, I can. It's 7 hours away. I can drive it like back and forth. Yes, I'm tired, but I prefer doing it on the day off. Also, it's less expensive.
Hmm.
Gotta say, like we're wrestlers, we're living on a budget.
You're living your dream. You're doing your
Yes.
traveling, but when you
Hmm.
do, sorry, when it comes to your shows, the day of a show, do you have to like prepare a lunch or like a little short breakfast or or just a lunch before the show?
Well, personally, I have my own diet, so I have to be careful with what I eat. Like I'm a wrestler. I wrestle without a shirt. I want to look good. I'm single also, so like I want to look good. And so I usually eat breakfast super early. I warm up my lunch like for 10 minutes, my microwave. So once we get there, it's still like warmish. It's not cold, but like I can eat it. It's acceptable, so I can get there and eat. And like after the show, we go for dinner. But yes, I have to be like diligent on my on how we eat. Yes, sometimes we stop. Like when we went to Beyond Wrestling, we stopped at we stopped at McDonald's first to pee, but also like the girls were hungry, but like I wasn't hungry. Like I eat breakfast. I'll eat once we get there.
Mm. So, like as you said, you eat after the show. What is your favorite place to like eat? What is your favorite restaurant? Because a lot of my fans, they've never been to Canada. Like, what kind of what's a good spot in Canada that you would say right now to tell the fans?
Well, if they come to Quebec, they need to go for poutine.
That is the number one thing I keep
Poutine
telling
is
my
important.
I keep telling my
So like
parents, in Canada, poutine. I need to have poutine. I need to have some. My
ev-
dad makes a joke. He's like, "You need what?" And I'm like, "Poutine."
everyone would say like you need to go to La Banquise, but like it's kind of a it's really good, but like there's it's so busy with tourists, and like it's okay. Like honestly, you want a good real poutine, you need to go to La Belle Province. La Belle
Okay,
Province is kind of a diner, it's like fast food, but like you get a good greasy poutine over there. Yes,
awesome.
and it's
Yeah, I went to
usually
a.
like closed.
Sorry, I went
It's
to a.
usually closed super late. Yeah,
I
go.
went to a convention, like garlic festival with my mom, and they had poutine, and I was like, "Oh, poutine!" But the line was like so long, and I was like, "Mom's like, you want to sit on the line? I think you're gonna be on the line for 3 hours." And I'm like, yeah, it's not worth it. and it wasn't. I don't think it was a Canadian person making the poutine. Probably an American making it. They probably don't know the
You,
secret. Yeah,
it's not the same. Unfortunately, it's not the same.
it has to be made by Canadians. So like,
Yes,
did we get the real
like it
deal?
needs to be real squish cheese, not like grated cheese. It needs to be like something from the heart, from Quebec.
Yes, definitely. So, who made your gear?
Who made my gear? Well, I've got many gears. I do remember when I started wrestling, and I still have some of those that I wear once in a while. I bought some of my gear on the Wish,
Mm,
but like now my more professional gear was made by Angie Sky, who's a fellow wrestler in Quebec. She made my orange and blue gear, which I wear everywhere. Uh, like suspenders I bought myself. So it's different, but like in my orange and blue gear is Angie Sky. I'm looking to get a new one made near future, hopefully. But also like it's it's expensive. Gear is expensive, and the worst thing about gear is once you get one, like you just wear it once and you want a new one. You always want a new one.
Yeah. It I've heard so many stories about wrestlers, like their gear is so it's important to the way their character is.
Mm.
And like I noticed your gear, you have like suspenders. Do they are they part of the tights or can you take them off?
I take them off actually because I can mix and match however I want. I have two sets of suspenders. If you have noticed, I wear one over that lights up. I pull them down once the match starts because bumping on battery is not the best and it's expensive. And
If you ever do a
like
hardcore match, you can use them as a weapon and like trying
yes,
to strangle the wrestler.
and some people have already used them against me.
Oh no.
It's an hazard also.
No, it's an ally and it's against you.
Yes, and like, but they're mix and match. I'll be honest, because sometimes like there's always one clip that that opens up during the match, no matter what. There's one clip like, ooh, one side like, ooh, it flies away. Like, okay,
It's like,
but
"That's it, I'm outta here," and they just run away.
but it's it's part of the experience. Like, okay, now it's like it means business also.
It's like me eating too much pasta. Boom. And the belt just goes Polo starts to pop. No, no. Yeah, so definitely this podcast is an ally. We support everybody. We love
Thank you.
everybody in the community. Before we go, if my fans wanna pick up any merch of yours, how can they find that?
Well, you can find my merch at shows, of course, and I have my own page. I have my own page. Sorry, I'll get there. I have my own page on prowrestlingtees.com, so you can look for my name, Alex Mays. There's my yellow shirt and my blue shirt. This which is the most recent shirt that's available.
Awesome. If my fans
And
wanna
I
follow
gotta
you
say,
on sorry.
y-
Sorry.
yeah, I gotta say, like yellow shirts. It's everyone has black shirts. Mine's yellow, so like you'll be standing out.
Yeah, of course, you gotta stand out when you had a wrestling show. People were like, "What is that? Who's Alex?" Like,
Exactly.
yeah. Um, if my fans wanna follow you on social media, how can they find you?
You can find me at the Alex Mays in one word on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. That's where you can find me at the Alex Mays.
Awesome. Alex, before we go, if there was any fans that wanted to get into the business, what kind of advice would you give them?
Uh, find a good wrestling school. That's the first step. Finding a good wrestling school and be confident. Be confident in your choice. Be confident in yourself, and be confident in what you're doing. Yes, the first few times you're gonna try is like you're gonna be scared. I remember the first time I hit the moonsault at the dojo. I made sure that the teacher wasn't there. Like, okay, when to T, I'll go top rope moonsault. So be confident in what you do. Be confident in yourself, and be safe and get a good wrestling school. And
Awesome.
listen to your teachers.
Oh, number one, that should be the first thing. Listen to the teacher. Just don't
Yes,
think you can do a moonsault and then you'll end up knocked out and dragged out.
exactly. Because like now I'm also a teacher at the IDBS dojo. So like now I see like my students. I see myself in my students now. They're like, don't do that. Like one step at a time. You want to rush, but don't rush.
Yeah, definitely. So, Alex, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm Joe Panther III,
I'm Alex Mays. Thank you for having me, Joe.
and you can catch this episode on the Joe Panther Variety Show. Definitely give him a follow on all his social medias. Definitely, if you want to subscribe, push the subscribe like, and we will catch you in the next.